Let's talk about human resources. And I want you to forget the old stereotypes, the idea that it's all just hiring and firing. It's so much more than that. The way to think about HR today is as the strategic engine of a company. It's the part of the business that has to navigate this whole sea of competing forces, both from the outside and from within. Okay, let's dive in. So let's just tackle this head on, right? The elephant in the room. Is HR just this reactive department that shuffles paperwork and deals with problems when they come up? Is its whole world just about bringing people on board and, well, showing them the door? The answer, to be really clear, is a huge no. A much better way to picture it is to think of an HR leader as the captain of a ship. They are constantly at the helm, steering the entire organization through these stormy economic seas and totally unpredictable political currents. They're not just following a map someone else drew. No, they're the ones making the critical, strategic calls that can really decide the fate of the entire crew and the voyage itself. To really get a handle on this, we first have to look at the powerful forces that are happening outside the company's control. Think of them as the economic tides and the political winds. These are the things that can either push a business forward at incredible speed or run it completely aground. Now, these big economic ideas you see here, they have a direct, real-world impact on HR every single day. The size of the workforce? Well, that determines the talent pool you can even fish from in the first place. What are the labor market conditions like? That tells you how competitive your salaries have to be. And something like inflation, that can wipe out the value of your employees' paychecks almost overnight, forcing HR to come up with a strategic response. And, of course, companies aren't trying to recruit from the entire global population. That'd be crazy. They have to zero in on what's called a relevant workforce market. So are you looking for a software engineer who lives in Austin, Texas? Or are you looking for a graphic designer who can work remotely from anywhere in Europe? Defining this market by their profession, their location, their industry, that's how HR actually finds the right people. Beyond the economy, there's this incredibly complex legal landscape that every single organization has to find its way through. HR's job is to make sure the company is in complete compliance with, well, everything, from anti-discrimination laws to workplace safety rules. This whole legal framework basically sets the rules of the road for almost every decision a company makes about its people. Okay, so we've talked about the external seas. Now let's step on board the ship itself. You see, every single organization has its own unique internal world, right? Its own distinct culture, its own specific goals, and, yep, its own built-in conflicts. This quote from the Tata conglomerate, it's just great. It's not just some catchy phrase for a poster. It's a guiding principle that tells you everything about their management philosophy. It signals trust, it signals autonomy, and it shows an intense focus on getting and keeping the best people. This is the kind of powerful internal force that shapes every single thing HR does. And building on that idea of culture, you'll always find this natural tug of war inside any company. On one side, you have personal goals, your ambitions, what you want. And on the other, you have the company's goals, things like efficiency and growth. A huge part of what modern HR does isn't about seeing this as a fight, but about managing this tension, finding clever ways to line up what individuals want with what the company needs to do. All right, let's zoom in even closer to the really tough decisions that HR leaders have to make every single day. They're almost never choosing between a good option and a bad one. It's way more complicated. They're constantly navigating these complex trade-offs, these fundamental tensions that sit right at the heart of managing people. So here's the first big tension: fit versus flexibility. What does that mean? Well, do you build an HR system that is perfectly tuned for what the company is doing right now? That's fit. Or do you build a system that's more resilient, one that can adapt to a future you can't even predict? You can probably think of a company that perfected hiring for one specific skill for 50 years, but when technology changed, they were caught totally flat-footed. See, if you only optimize for today, you can make yourself incredibly vulnerable for tomorrow. And the second tension is a classic: commitment versus control. Do you focus on systems that build trust and loyalty and engagement? Or do you focus on systems that enforce rules, cut costs, and make sure everyone is compliant? For years, people thought you had to pick one or the other. But what modern research is showing us is that the highest performing companies, they don't pick. They find a masterful way to blend both. So, after navigating the external environment, the internal culture, and all these tough strategic tensions, where is this all headed? Let's take a look at the future of HR, because there are new tools and massive new trends that are completely changing the game. If you ever want to know what businesses are taking seriously, just follow the money. The market for diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI, is projected to be worth over $15 billion by 2026. That tells you something really important. This isn't just a passing fad. It's a massive strategic and financial priority for companies that are finally recognizing the incredible value of a diverse and inclusive workforce. And of course, we have to talk about AI. Generative AI is becoming an unbelievably powerful tool for HR. But it's not about replacing people. It's about augmenting them, giving them superpowers. Just imagine an AI that crafts a perfectly tailored job description in seconds, or a chatbot that can answer common employee questions 24/7. This frees up HR pros to focus on the complex, strategic, human stuff that really, really matters. And the changes just keep coming. We're seeing a permanent structural shift to hybrid work. We're seeing a much greater and long overdue focus on employee mental health and well-being. There's the rise of people analytics to make smarter decisions based on data. And running through all of this is a growing demand for leaders who are, above all else, deeply human-centric. Which brings us to our final and maybe most important question. As HR becomes more of a science using AI and all this powerful data, how do we make sure it doesn't lose its soul? How do we balance the incredible power of analytics with the fundamental need for empathy, for human connection? That right there is the biggest challenge and the greatest opportunity for the future of work.